welcome. My name is Lainey Rose, and I'm the events manager here at City Bookshop. It's wonderful to be with you all today. Thank you so much for being here in person and for tuning in to our live stream if you're watching that way. This week, we have so many exciting things happening as we lead up to the store's 7th birthday and Independent Bookstore Day, which is tomorrow. Our day will be filled with giveaways, flash sales, and celebrations throughout the day. Be sure to swing by and to check out our website for more information because we also have more exciting events coming up. For our romance lovers, and I'm assuming that everyone here is a romance lover, on May 4th, we have Chloe Angel and Andy J. Christopher in the store to discuss Chloe's debut book, Pa They Don't. And this summer, June 15th, we will have a star-studded romance panel with Allie Hazelwood, Nisha Sharma, Andy J. Christopher, Nikki Payne, and Kate Claiborne. So you do not want to miss out on that. We also have so many upcoming romance events with Taj McCoy, Lane Clark, Ava Wilder, Adriana Herrera, and Tracy Livesey. So definitely check out our website for all of our upcoming events. Before we get to tonight's event, some housekeeping details. Number 1, we appreciate you wearing your mask while you're seated at the event and in the signing line. Number 2, if you need a restroom, it's upstairs past the cash registers and the greeting cards. Number 3, if you're watching from home and experiencing any technical difficulties, please let us know in the chat. And number 4, we will have time for questions tonight for both in-person and virtual attendees. So even if you're watching via Zoom, you can still participate. Please put those questions in the Q&A feature so that we can see them and ask on your behalf. And finally, most importantly, a purchase of the +1 at City Bookshop is required in order to enter the signing line and to meet all 3 authors. If you previously purchased a copy here at the store, we just need your proof of purchase, or if it's in our system, and you'll receive a wristband, and copies are available upstairs at the register. Now, I am always excited for romance events at the store, but we have been buzzing for weeks about this event and to welcome these 3 fabulous authors to our store after they've all had previous events at our store. For tonight's event, some facts are indisputable. Indira doesn't like Jude, Jude doesn't like Indira. But what happens when these childhood enemies find the only thing they can rely on is each other? Thrust into an elaborate wedding event, the duo strike a bargain to be each other's fake dates for this wedding from hell. The only problem is their forced proximity and fake displays of affection are starting to feel a little bit real. And both are left grappling with the idea that a situation that couldn't be worse is made a little better with the other around. Our author of the evening is Mazey Eddings, who is a neurodiverse author, dentist, and most importantly, a stage mom to her cats. She can most often be found reading romance novels under a weighted blanket and eating snacks. She's made it her personal mission in life to destigmatize mental health issues and to write love stories for every brain. Joining her in conversation tonight is Christina Lauren, the combined pen name of longtime writing partners and best friends Christina and Lauren, who are New York Times, USA Today, and #1 internationally bestselling authors. Please welcome our authors of the evening.
We're like, are these characters scared sturdy? Are these never coming back from that?
Never.
Now we on. Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for coming out in the rain, everybody. It's very miserable outside. You guys are awesome. I am the Lauren half of Christina Lauren, by the way.
I am the Christina half.
And I'm Mazey Eddings.
Yay!
And I just want to thank you guys so much for doing this. And I'm so excited that we're able to chit chat at this amazing bookstore and everything. And thank you guys all for coming out too. And like you guys said, in the horrible weather.
I mean, you have also had a day. So tell us, just to like break the ice, tell us a little bit.
Really fast.
Okay.
So we just barely got finished copies of this. So be thinking of questions and be paying attention because we're going to ask a question at the end. And whoever gets the answer gets to take this home. And then I think we're going to give away a copy, not this one because I only have one, to one of the viewers watching if they ask a question as well. It's a test.
But a fun one. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your crazy day.
Okay. So I have been through the ringer of travel. I have like experienced so many planes that I get on in my life and they just aren't functioning, and that worries me a lot. Like, I don't think that there should be so many instances where it's become like a trend, a motif for me. But I did an event last night in Greenville, South Carolina, and then I was supposed to fly out this morning, and I just to really set the scene for how like groggy I was too, I fell down my first TikTok hole last night. And so I was up until like, till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
You're a youngin'. I mean, that's just like your language.
I know. So that's because I've been avoiding it. I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. So I've been like really watching my time on there. But anyway, so I got like 3 hours of sleep. I get up this morning, and my stepdad takes me to the airport. Like everything's fine. It's like 6, 7 in the morning. I get on the plane, and then we're sitting there, and then they're like, there's mechanical issues. And I've heard that before. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to come of this. And so then it kept getting delayed. And then they were like, you can deboard if you want. You just can't get back on the plane. And I was like, what? But so many people got off, so that I got really confused. And then long story short, the plane was just like put to rest. And then and so then I was like trying to figure out how I'm gonna get here today. And they were like, there's a 9 p.m. flight tonight. Or you could drive 2 hours to Asheville, which is where I live anyways, and get on a flight there that gets you that I got in here technically at like 3:30. So I hop in the car, I call my mom crying really fast, and then I hop in the car, like as one does, and then I get to Asheville, and then I get on the flight. But then when we land here, we get here early. Heaven forbid that happens in travel, because then we were sitting there forever. It took me an hour to get to the hotel, which was like less than a mile away from the airport. And so
It sounds like Los Angeles.
yeah,
I'm just gonna say.
So long story short, it took me 12 hours to get here. I feel like I could have walked faster. I have like a very good stride. So like,
All right. Well, I am so glad you made it, because there was a moment this morning when we thought we were just going to have to come and like pretend to be Mazey. I was going to wear a blonde wig and have to be adorable, and it would have been very hard for me.
I really took away that none of us should travel with Mazey. That's
No.
like what I got. No, don't go on book tour with Mazey.
No, don't go anywhere. My friend Emily and I are going to South Africa in June.
Good luck.
And like, there's like no way we're both going to survive it. Don't put that out there.
Okay. Well, I have been loving this book this week. It has been such a source of joy. I'm listening to the audiobook. If you guys want to support independent bookstores on audiobooks, you can do it through Libro FM. So can you tell us a little bit about this book? Give us the elevator pitch of the plus one.
So the elevator pitch. So Indira comes home basically having the worst day of her life. She catches her boyfriend in a very peculiar amorous embrace with somebody. I apparently have ruined a food product for a lot of people. And she she flees to her brother's house to sort of lick her wounds, and he's in the middle of getting everything situated for his wedding. And when she shows up, who answers the door but the person she hates the most, her childhood nemesis, her older brother's best friend, Jude. And Jude has been gone for the past couple of years, working as an emergency medical doctor in areas affected by like high areas of conflict, natural disasters, things like that. And Jude is just very much a sad boy. And so he's carrying like a lot of trauma with him and very closed off, but he's trying to portray himself as normal as possible for these wedding festivities. And these two fall back into their pattern of bickering and bantering, and they realize that that feels more comfortable than kind of like facing their big feelings. And so they agree to fake date for this wedding. So Indira can avoid her ex, and Jude has a reason to like go off in corners with her. And then what happens when two people fake date? At the end, they just part ways and never talk to each other again. They fall in love. There's like some emotional 69ing in there at one point too. So, it's just
That influenced my text that I sent you earlier.
Yes, it did.
So that's long and short of it.
So I have to say, I have a real question.
Yeah.
But I have to say, one of the things that was really funny to me when I was reading the like author's note and stuff is you're basically like, I made up this like World Health Organization or whatever it is. So like, basically don't come at me that I got it wrong. And it just reminded me so much of In Something Mother, where we're like, we did a ton of research, but then we had to ignore it. And so don't follow our map because you'll die. And that's just like what it reminded me of. She was like, listen, I'm just telling you right now. Okay. So one thing that I saw a lot when I was like seeing people talk about it and reviews and stuff is that, so this is the third book in the series, and they're all very different. So like Brush with Love is like very lighthearted. And this one is like I mean, it's still romance, it's still funny, but it's like much more serious in tone.
Mhm.
So was that your plan to have all three of those be different, or did it just happen?
It definitely just happened. They all popped into my head very voicey, but very distinct in what they were telling me, and like the stories and what they wanted to have happen on the page. And writing for me, I very much feel like I'm just along for the ride. Like the characters tell me where they want to go, what they want to do. And so yeah, I mean, one thing that was kind of nutty about this book is I was trying so hard to force it to be something that it wasn't. And I knew even when I turned it in that it wasn't right. And then I got my edit letter back, and my editor was like, yeah, this isn't it. So I ended up having to like rewrite it in about 4 weeks, which was just like really, really horrible. But in the end, it was so much like putting aside what I wanted or expected it to be, and like letting the characters tell their story. And I think because of that, it is more emotional. It does, have like more, I think there's a balance of humor in there, but I definitely think it is more firmly a romance than rom-com maybe. But yeah, all of my gals in that friend group have dictated what they wanted their stories to be.
I think you say that in the author's note, don't you? Like, this is a romance, it has a
Mhm.
happily ever after, but it does deal with some serious things.
Yeah.
But I mean, you clearly know your characters very well. And I think part of the way you get to know them is because you know who they are and what they do. So can you talk a little bit about your research and how you get to know what their professions are? Because each of them has a pretty big job, and they're all very different.
And they play a big part in the story.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously like A Brush with Love follows 2 dental students, and that one was too easy for research because I was going through dental school at the time when I wrote it. And then when my editor bought these books, she was like, because originally all of the friends were dentists, and she was like, we can let you get away with it once, but that's it. Like,
I actually wondered that. I think when
Yeah.
it came out, didn't we say that we were like, is this gonna be like a dental series?
I know. Yeah. Well, it was so
She's a hygienist.
Yeah. Yeah. No, seriously, I have so many dental like related ideas, but yeah, they were all in dental school, and I had so many like rejections just from dental phobia, like on the book when it was on sub too. And so when I finally got that note, I was like, you know what? Fair enough. Like, I hate the dentist. I am one. Like, we'll all move on. And so yeah, from there, I got to play more with their different careers and stuff. Like Lizzie in the second book is an erotic baker. And then Indira in this book is a psychiatrist. Jude, like I said, is emergency medicine. And so, yeah, I felt like it really fit for Indira. I always knew was going to be doing something with mental health, because I felt like she reads people very well. And so then it was just kind of finding this balance between her being the psychiatrist, offering people help, to wellness, but then also confronting this idea that she doesn't feel well all the time. And, really looking at this idea that I think we put,
I loved that, by the way. No, I did. Like when she was in therapy and she's like, how can I be helping people when I am such a mess?
Well,
And that was such a great thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Honestly, I loved that.
Because I feel like moms feel that way a lot. How can I parent and raise this person
Yeah.
to be like healthy when I'm a hot mess?
Yeah, no, seriously. And like, I think that with people in healthcare and, doctors and things like that, we have this kind of preconceived notion that they're very put together people. They have their shit together basically. And then like
your teeth are always clean, right?
oh, I brush
Right. And
20
you
times
floss like twice a day.
Yes,
Yeah.
flossing
Yeah.
all the time. Like I'm flossing right now. I just have like this special technique for it. And yeah. And like, yeah, but we have this idea that doctors are supposed to be just put together and pillars of society and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the people that I know in medicine are messes, but that doesn't like take away from their ability to care for other people. But you see so much burnout in the profession because they have this idea that they have to present themselves as this perfect person. And then they're giving so much of themselves over to patients or things like that. And so, yeah, there's tremendous burnout in the field. And, I wrote this during COVID too. So this was like my late 2020 book. And I was really inspired and also horrified by what our healthcare workers were going through and the burnout they were experiencing and like the PTSD from that and everything.
So how much of this story, because it's very character driven. So how much of the story, like when you had the idea, what came first? Did like the plot and how it would unfold, or did the characters and their jobs and how that was going to play into it?
I think it was more
like, how did you get
Yeah.
this idea?
I originally had this idea. It was originally an epistolary romance. And so, yeah, I know. I wish I had pulled it off, but
No, I mean, I just love the idea of that from you.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be this
yeah,
one.
Yeah, I have like all of these emails. One day for sure. But I have all of these emails that like Jude and Dira were sending each other, because the idea came to me that like I was going to actually look at him when he's in these different areas. And for some reason, she's the one that he like reaches out for, and like because he's so scared to be vulnerable with the other people in his life, like his best friend and stuff. And it's kind of easy to be vulnerable with somebody that you're like not even sure you really like, because you can just be like, yeah, I don't care about their opinion. But so a lot of it was this, back and forth between them, and then he kind of like ghosted her, and so that was the original idea of the story. And so then I pivoted it where they had like this, bickering history, but they come together, very much in the present, like bringing each other together. But yeah, their careers are always set. Like I knew Jude was going to be dealing with that emotional burnout that comes with being like in a high stress medical profession. And I knew that Indira was going to be battling this concept of like, how can I help other people if I can't help myself all the time? And so, yeah, it just kind of unfolded from there.
So you have a lot of family in here, but also chosen family in your series. And I think one of the things that I really love about your books is romance in general is aspirational in terms of the love story, but it's also aspirational in terms of the community that you build in the romance novels, and like, having a strong network of friends and having family support in some cases not, but then you find your family elsewhere. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of for you in your life of like the inspiration you get from friends, from family, and how you draw from those relationships to write them?
Yeah, I think in so many ways, like romance novels were the thing that I turned to when I was very lonely in my life. Like going through dental school, I felt very like isolated. I felt very alone because there wasn't this willingness for people to be vulnerable with each other. And so you're in this really high stress program where everybody is pretending like it's totally normal to be not sleeping and to be like throwing up from stress and all of this stuff. And so I didn't have like that sense of community or sense of friendship. And so I was turning to romance novels to like almost find, that sense of like friendship, like you said. And it's funny, your series, the Wild Season, like that was one of the series that I just read over and over and over again because I loved that found family among that group of people. And so I was just really largely inspired by, romance novels in general that showed that and showcased that. And then I think in writing this book, they popped into my head very, like I said, loud and voicey and kind of demanding of my attention. And maybe in a lot of ways, they were the friends that I wish I had found like while I was going through that. And so, yeah, I mean, they've been like the center of my world for 4 or 5 years now. So yeah, it's weird to be like, this is it too.
I love that though. I mean, I do think that, you build these worlds that you want it to look this way. Right.
Yeah.
So I love that.
So what are the things? Okay, so I know we're going to talk about feelings a lot, and like I don't know how many of you guys have read it. So I want you to know that while there's like a lot of feelings and stuff, because that's one of the things I've seen people say is that this book is like romance, but it's almost like you're in therapy because you're getting like little key things that you're like taking away. And so I want to talk about that. But it's also pretty steamy. And there is a line, this is just me. There's a line that was like, he like props himself up on his hand over her. And I was like, I would just like to draw attention to that.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was,
you're not
So just a comment.
Yeah.
about, and I was just like, I actually had it in my notes. He
Yeah.
props himself up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just noted.
Yeah. Noted. And like, I one edit that I got was like, do you think that like fourth eating out scene is like needed. And I was like, yeah, I do. I think that.
Yeah, I
was like-
do.
I was like, yeah, they've been through enough. Like, yeah.
I'm gonna say I am kind of like a sex scene snob, and the sex scenes were really good.
God. Yeah.
They were really, really
She was
good.
texting me and she was just it was
Oh no, because so we were sitting like we were at, like before the signing started, and I was like, oh, there's not gonna be a condom. And then I was like, wait, I'm gonna search and see if they mention it again.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm gonna like cry. That was like, because you guys like, I mean, literally you guys created Ansel, my world, that like the reason for my breathing. And so like to hear that is
Okay, so while we're
amazing.
talking about, feelings and stuff,
Yeah.
just trust me, like feelings. Okay, so one of the things Lo had said to me when we were talking about it was like it's very like emotionally intelligent. And as a person who has like had to start going to therapy later in life
Mhm.
because I'm like
what
a
are
feeling
feelings?
aversion.
Yeah.
Like I really loved the way that they like talk to each other, and when she could kind of sense that he's going through something even though he's not telling her, and the way that it's written. So how much of that came out in like your first, second drafts, and how much of that had to really be polished? Because I have to really, like, I always am a sculptor. Lo can write really beautiful things, and a lot of times it just comes out that way. And she might like, she always calls it like, I'm just noodling, where I'm like hacking away at it. Like, so how much of it, came, and how much did you really have to polish?
I feel really lucky because like the way that they communicated with each other from the get-go was pretty vulnerable. And like I think that, and that's something that I've always felt with Indira's character, is she's really good at sensing people's feelings, which is why she went into
leading
yes,
questions.
yeah. And so I think like, yeah, I mean, it felt very natural for their dynamic, which was really nice. And like the thing that I was trying to be most conscious of while I was drafting is I was so worried about falling into the trap of like she saves him or she fixes him, or like I love like a scarred hero romance and stuff like that. And you know how there's like in like old school romance where there's the trope where it's like the magic vagina, where it's like they have sex and like he's healed and everything's perfect. And I was trying to be very
That's just science.
yeah, I mean that
I was gonna say that's nonfiction.
Local scientist.
yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna get into biology here. But yeah, so I think that was the thing, because she was so in tune with him, and he did have so many walls, and she had hers too, in revealing things to him. And so I think that's what I almost had to pull back in some instances where I was like, I can't have her carrying him, right? Like she makes space for him, but she's not carrying him through it. Because it's not a woman's job to save a man. So like, yeah, that was probably the thing that I was most conscious of, but their dynamic of sharing their feelings was always there.
What was your favorite scene to write?
Oh, I would say there's so many. So like a moving scene is when he has really bad insomnia and he wakes up and he finds I like that. I love that. And that one made it through every iteration of the book too. So like that one feels really special to me. Bob's yeah. So they're watching Bob's Burgers, the Thanksgiving specials. And like, I think it's the first time where it feels like Jude like kind of lets out a breath. Like, and so I know he falls asleep. I know. I'm like, good for you.
She's like, good job, baby.
I'm like, good job, Jude. Like, you go, baby. Yeah, I love that scene. And like that one was one that I see so vividly in my head. And like that one came out pretty much how it is in the book. And then, just like for things that were fun, they go camping and Jude pitches his own tent at a certain point. And
Does he now?
yeah, it's only one tent, but like, is it, yeah. And so like that was a moment where they started becoming more like playful and fun with each other. And I loved seeing that come out, because it was just like, yeah, I mean, Jude like put me through it. He was so sad all the time. And so anytime that he got to be like happy and carefree and everything just was really, really joyful to write. Yeah.
Okay, so we talk a lot about tropes in romance, and we are like big believers that you cannot start with a trope. Like I think when you start with a trope, it kind of feels like you started with a trope. But also I really like tropes. So like, what is the one trope that is like Mazey catnip that you see that book and you're like, oh, I'm reading it?
Oh my God, all of them though. I mean, only one bed like gets me every time. Like, I want them to just be sleeping on like the teeniest, tiniest cot, like only one couch, only one anything, just really kills it in one shower. Like, I love that because there's so many ways that you can twist and play with it too. Like, I love when they give in and they hook up, and I love when they're like, absolutely not, and they like create a barrier and stuff.
They like accidentally start making
I know,
out.
it's like, oh my God, the lips fall onto yours. How embarrassing. We should just like stick our tongues down there. I love that trope so much. And then gosh, I don't know that there's necessarily a trope I don't like. Like, they all are just so fun.
Okay, so I have to ask them because this was a question that came up in our panel earlier. How many of you don't like Secret Baby? You're liars.
Y'all came
You guys
together.
like meet out front.
Yeah.
You're like, we do not like secret
Yeah.
babies. We're sitting in the
No,
row.
is it babies in general? You're all like, I have to deal with that at home. Oh,
Okay, noted.
Yeah.
That is not romantic.
so
Yeah.
there's not. Is there one that you think you will never write?
Well, I thought that about Love Triangle, but I'm writing one right now. And so
Okay.
I'm like, yeah.
But is it a love triangle where you're like, oh no, it could go either way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. I'm really upset. I'm like not doing well.
But I would say that when we started out writing Twilight fanfic, I was so team Edward. It was like a little bit worrisome. And now as I'm like older, my daughter's older, I'm like, I don't know, but like poor Jacob. Then I'm like, maybe it could have gone that way. And
It could. Well, is there
Sorry,
one
Edward.
that you two are just like absolutely not
I mean,
for writing?
I think we would never write. I just don't think dark romance tropes would work with our voice, right?
Hell
Like,
no,
we're not
yeah.
going to write a CeeLo book where she's kidnapped and then falls in love with
Yeah,
the
like, I'm
kidnapper.
not gonna
That's
write
just
a
not our.
mafia book.
That's not our
I
vibe.
could see doing that in such a funny twist though, where she ends up tormenting him, like kidnaps her, and then she's just like the biggest shit to him the
Okay,
like
entire
singing
time.
Are you
VIII
daring
and-
me right now?
I'm like, oh, you don't think you can do
We really, 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 really want to write a sexy clue book. And like
We're gonna do it, guys.
our
It's
editor
gonna-
was like, okay, like what? Like one death. And we're like, or three.
yeah. No, we're doing it. We're gonna write Sexy Clue. We're doing it.
We had like 30,000 words written. And then it's hard to write people like possibly
Okay,
in
so here's the
danger
thing.
of death.
We were like, has a sexy murder mystery not really been done because it's like never been done, or because it can't be done?
This is
It
really
can be
fucking
done.
hard.
You
Yes,
can do
I
it.
agree. And I will say, let me just say, and this isn't Sexy Clue, but Finley Donovan is killing it. If you guys haven't read that series, it's so fun. And it's like murder mystery, shenanigans, caper, little love
Accidental
triangle.
hitman.
It's like really fun. So I'm just throwing that
Love
recommendation out there.
triangle.
Okay.
Wait, can I get that Google Doc that like I just curious? I just really want to see that.
She's like, this is too many deaths.
No, there's no such thing. Like, I'm so into it. Like, I'm ready. If
The
you-
outline is
yeah.
like sex, death, sex, death.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. Like
all
the
right.
outline is very like easy, like death, danger bang. Like that really leads a good danger
It
bang
really
too.
does. It
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yes.
And I love a
Covert
danger
banging.
bang.
I
Yeah,
know.
That's going in the outline, daydreaming.
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to get this train back on the tracks.
Sorry.
So, I am
Sorry,
the
it's been a long day, you
parliamentarian
guys.
of the day. Okay. So we were talking a little bit about tropes. I want to know, and this is a question that we always get asked because there's two of us, but I think readers really like to know what your process is. Like when you're about to start a book, what does that look like for you?
I think I saw you cry.
Oh yeah. I mean, I cry like every day. Like it doesn't matter. Like whether I'm drafting or not. Like that's just happening. No, I don't know that I could have a more chaotic process. I don't write in order. I don't outline. I just I don't know if it's I hear voices in my head and I'm just like, all right, like let's fucking ride. And like, I just kind of chase a scene as far as it will take me. And I think that kind of is how I have to do it with like being ADHD and autistic. Like my brain craves like those shiny things where it's just like yummy and I need to dig in. And I chase that as far as I can. And it's almost like when I've tried to outline or have any semblance of a plan, I end up getting bored because I'm like, I already know what happens. Yeah. And I wish I wasn't like that, because it is so hard to draft like that. Like it's like,
And probably to know when you're going to be done.
yeah,
How close you are.
yeah. And so, but I've tried so hard to like, I've tried all of the different like outline techniques and plotting techniques and all of that. And it just like, I get the outline on. I'm like, well, it's basically done. Like, what's the point? So
I totally know what you mean. If I was writing alone, I think I would feel that way. We have to outline because there's two of us and we'd be like, what is this? But
I can't even imagine. I like am trying to convince somebody to like be my co-author just so I can like,
well, you're selling it right now. You're like, there's a lot of crying, there's no organization.
Yeah, but like I cry in private like a lady. Like, I have like my spots. I use my cat as like a little tissue to wipe my tears. Like it's very refined. Like that I have refined very well.
Okay, so what was the first romance book that got you like reading romance?
Oh, it was Tessa Dare. I can't even remember which one came first because then I devoured she has that whole Spindle Cove series and I ate that shit up. Like it slaps so hard. Every single one of them is a sleigh. Like it's so good.
That was the most.
That was very Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah.
I'm like, I think that means she enjoyed that.
Yeah, I really liked that. I really enjoyed them. Yeah, and then I got on like the Lisa Kleypas train. Yes. Sebastian St. Vincent, like break me in half like a glow stick. Like I'm ready to go. He is my husband, my world. And then her entire backlist. And then you guys were my foray for whatever the word is into contemporary romance. And so, yeah, I mean, I blame you for all of it.
Gateway though. You blame Tessa.
Yeah, I do blame Tessa.
Actually, I'm going to thank Tessa because I love your books. And I'm glad you're here.
Oh, but yeah, and so I cut my teeth on historical romance, and like it's interesting too because now writing contemporary romance, I feel like historical romance is like my safe space where it's like I know I could never do the research to pull off a historical, and so I'm like I would never touch it, but I love it so much, and it's like I can just lose myself in those books.
I do think it's interesting though that you started with Tessa, you went to Lisa, and then you came to contemporary. Those are historicals that read very contemporary in many ways, and I think they translate like and Sarah McLean too, where it feels like a contemporary sort of in a historical context, and I just love that about them. So
I do too. Yeah, they read so fresh, and like I always think about it too. It's like, okay, Lisa Kleypas is like dark chocolate cake where it's like very rich, like very sensual, and then Tessa Dare is like a lemon sorbet, and then I would say Sarah McLean is like to me like angel food cake with like berries on top.
You are killing Susan right now because she's somewhere out there so hungry.
So sorry, Susan. Susan, I'm right there with you, girl. I know I had pretzels and like 3 crackers, so like I'm feeling it too. I'm very hungry. But yeah, I think like they're just so like yummy and like digestible and just like, but they leave you with like this amazing smile on your face. Cause yeah.
Okay. So you said what you feel those are. What do you want readers to take from your books and this one specifically? I know your like dedication is very lovely. And is that the answer?
Yeah, I would say so. So I mean, like, do you mind if I like get vulnerable for like a second? I'm going to anyways, but I experienced a lot of abuse as a teenager, right? And it's something that triggered a lot of PTSD in me, and it's something that I've slowly unraveled through my 20s, but it really influenced how I interact in the world, like the relationships I have. And so, I think in so many ways, writing romance, especially with characters that experience issues with their mental health or are neurodiverse, allows me to kind of unpack stuff in like a very safe and removed way, where it's like characters dealing with their own problems, but they're exploring what works for them to get through that. And so I guess like if anything with my books, like my biggest goal is always to like spark joy in people, and to make people feel seen and know that they are lovable exactly where they are and how they are. And, yeah. And I think that like, I'm currently reading The True Love Experiment, and wait, did I get that right, or did I just come out to do? Okay, I was like, wait, I glitched for a second. But I think what like shows through that too is like this sense of like just profound joy, and like that's why I love romance, is like because it gives you that, right? It's like that nugget. And so if I can give that to somebody else, I would be very happy.
I love that. That's amazing.
So what's giving you joy right now?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna be honest. Vanderpump Rules. I'm like deeply, deeply invested, and I have been for a long time. Like, I'm not a fake fan. Oh, okay. So Vanderpump Rules is like
They hear it in the best.
yeah, you guys know you're in it. It was like kind of a spinoff from the Real Housewives franchise, where it's this restaurant, and Lisa Vanderpump like pitched it to the network and was like, I have the most chaotic staff. There's so much drama. Like, they're all just like sleeping with each other and yelling at each other. You should film it. And here we are 10 years later. And like,
I didn't know this.
Like,
I didn't know
nightmare.
where it came from.
yeah. She went to Andy. She's like, hey, you got to take a look at this. And obviously I just dabble in it. I'm not deeply invested. No, I don't know why. Yeah, it's just like brain candy for me. Like, I really just indulge in that. And then Succession is like it's like my comfort show. Like, I know. I know. I'm like, I'm in therapy. Like, don't worry. But
that's like super power porn, and like I did not think I was me into it. And then the acting was so amazing.
It's so good. Yeah.
I can't say no to you.
And I've watched it like 9 times. I haven't seen the new season because I'm a binger, but like, yeah, it's my comfort show. I think I don't know why. I really don't.
No, I mean, I sort of love that. They're all really broken.
Yeah.
So,
I guess that's why.
It's interesting to watch them and see them not figure it out.
Yeah.
So.
Over and over again.
And say like just the most unhinged stuff to each other. Like, truly.
Just wait. Just wait, season 4.
Oh my God.
I don't even watch it, and I think I know how it ends because people on Twitter.
Oh, I know. I've like, oh God, I've had to mute so many words because I saw a spoiler that's like very devastating. But yeah,
we're not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do it though.
All right. Do you guys have questions that you would like to ask Miss Mazey? Yes, right there. Yep. Hi.
Well, I really want Sweet Filthy. Oh yeah. Any books of ours that we would like to see adapted into film or TV, and then actors that we would like to see cast. I would really like to see Sweet Filthy Boy adapted. Yeah, like big time. So that's my choice.
It'd be saucy.
Yeah, it would.
So saucy, it'd be embarrassing to watch.
You think? I don't
Maybe.
think so. I don't. If they got the casting right, I don't know.
If we want it, and then we maybe don't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's a good one. I
Yeah.
like that. But of yours.
Oh gosh, and like I don't. That would be awesome, but I don't. I'm not going to be picky about it, to be honest with you. They're all open for being picked up. So
All me.
Something Wilder would be a good one for you too. That would.
I mean, On Honeymooners is so close. I would just really like. They've cast Olive, but they haven't announced it yet.
They have a director. They haven't announced it yet. It's like got financing. We haven't announced that. Except we have now.
It's so close, but now there's going to be like a writer's strike. And so,
give the writers what they want. They deserve the world. So,
but it's going to like slow everything down.
I would like to see Love in Other Words.
Oh,
I would like that one.
Yeah.
And Josh and Hazel Skype. I knew Bianca. I was like, here it comes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be Love. I don't know if I would survive Love in Other Words, but like I would.
I hope not. I mean, if they do it right,
they would all right. Yeah, just like smush your heart to a pulp and then like eat it. Yeah.
Sorry. I want to return to
Disturbing.
the audience questions, but real quick, I want you to talk a little bit about like what's next. You are writing so fast. You have so many books coming out.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, did we just talk to Mazey last year about A Brush with Love? And she was like, yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, which was so awesome, by the way. I was like flipping out when that happened. But yeah, I do have a lot of books coming out. I have my YA debut, Tilly in Technicolor, coming out in August. Yay! That book was so fun to write. Like that one really just felt like good the whole way through too. And that follows an ADHD girl named Tilly. She just graduated high school. She doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. She just knows she doesn't want to go to college. And she's doing an internship with her sister in Europe. Her sister owns a nail lacquer company because polish isn't classy enough. And she's going to be traveling around Europe and on an international flight that was largely inspired by my own experiences, actually. Like that's the closest I've ever gotten to like memoir right there. The flight goes horribly wrong. And her seatmate is Oliver. He's also 18. He's autistic. And he knows exactly what he wants in life. And so the two leave this flight, like hoping to never run into each other again. And then they never do. Just hi. So dumb. Anyway, so then they have to spend the summer together traveling around Europe interning for this company. And I just hit my reflex. Whoa, that was weird. And yeah, they fall in love along the way, and it's just like a big love letter to neurodivergent brains and teenagers learning to like themselves, which I think is really hard when you're a teenager, right? And then I have a sapphic adult rom-com coming out next April, which I don't think I'm allowed to talk about yet, but the title is out there. It's called Late Bloomer, and it takes place on a flower farm. Yeah, so that one was really fun too. And then some other things coming down the line.
Amazing. All right, let's get some more questions out there.
Yes, right. Me? Yep. Okay. Mazey, I know you are a huge Taylor Swift fan. Which Taylor Swift song would you want to write a book about?
Okay, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Taylor Swift read an
The
arc.
question is,
sorry.
what Taylor Swift song would you like to write a
I got
book about?
really excited. I think that Taylor Swift read an arc of the Plus One and then she wrote the Great War about it, but it's neither confirmed nor denied. No, this book is just like folklore coded. I think at the end of the day, she released it around the time I started drafting. So yeah, I would say like Seven and Epiphany were largely influential on this book. Wait, did you say which song would I want to write another one on? Okay. Gosh, I use them all for inspiration, so that's really tough. Oh, You're on Your Own, Kid. That would be a good one. Yeah, because it's just so good.
It slays.
It slays. It slaps. Never misses. It's a slay.
Yeah.
You had a question.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for writing a YA.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of a neurodiverse teenager, so I'm really excited to be able to share it with him. And I also wanted to ask, would you ever think about writing a novella about to show more about Sue and Alex's story?
The question is whether you would write a novella about, sorry, which one? Sorry. Oh, Two and Alex. Yes.
So no, that's not like on my radar or anything like that. I just don't know that I could do justice to their story, and like I'm so happy with where they ended up. To write a novella would require like breaking them up or like causing some conflict, and I don't know, I really like this idea that they kind of found each other and they're able to just kind of work through it. Like their relationship doesn't feel like work for them, and so I don't have it in me to like introduce any conflict into their lives.
Okay, right here.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You have so many thoughts. Which is great. I mean, she's my daughter. She thinks like that too. She has so many things going on all the time, and I am very much a planner. I'm an outliner. I'm all of that. But you say that you don't outline. So how do you keep all of your ideas
straight, or do you have 900 projects that you work on at a time?
If you do not outline, how do you keep all of your ideas straight? Do you have a bunch of projects that you're working on at the same time?
It got to the okay. So recently, I have some writer's block right now, and so I finally got to the point where I've sent my agent so many ideas for other stories that she was like, do you think that maybe you're like trying to cope with the writer's block by like thinking of other books that you can't write right now? And I was like, yeah, that sounds exactly like what I'm doing. No, yeah, there is a lot going on up here, but I rely very heavily on the notes app on my phone. So like I stop mid conversation, mid drive. Shouldn't say that, but like I stop what I'm doing when a thought hits me and I write it down and I kind of chase it. Because then it's there and then I kind of weave that in. And then, you know, I think the other thing is my day job requires me to be real. I am also a dentist. And so my job requires me to be really laser focused in on my patient and like what they need and stuff. And so when I switch into writing mode, it's almost like getting to frolic and play with a bunch of ideas. And so I let them go. And then, yeah, I jot a lot of stuff down, but I try to stay focused as much as I can on what I'm supposed to be working on, even though it doesn't always work like that, but yeah. Yep.
Yep. You guys are all able to like take on these difficult and like tough topics like different mental health issues. But like doing it in a way that like also feels fun and provides the readers like the joy that you're talking about. So how do you guys go about balancing exploring these difficult ideas, making it happy, and then also like not using their issues as plot devices, but really giving all of the characters into structure?
Okay, so the question essentially is, Mazey specifically really does a great job exploring some heavier issues. You can tell me if I'm not getting this right. Heavier issues and topics, but she's still writing a romance. So the question is, how does she balance those heavier issues, such as mental health, with the levity that we all want to find in a romance novel? Is that about capture what you want? Okay.
Well, I think like I've laughed the hardest when I'm at like rock bottom. Like I laugh really hard in therapy sometimes, like tears streaming down my face. And it's like, because sometimes it's like, I don't know if this is going to sound bad, but it's kind of funny to be at that point where it's like, you're like, things can't get worse. And then they do. And then you're like, wow, like that's like the world is created, like, like the universe is clever, like, damn. And so, yeah, I think like I always try to seek out funny stuff that happens in life. I love laughing and I love making people laugh. And I think a lot of the people I surround myself with kind of do the same thing, where it's like, it's almost like dark humor in a sense that you're like laughing at this really painful thing. But I think that there's a lot of healing in that. And yeah, I don't know that it's not something that I necessarily am like, okay, I need like a joke here or something here. I guess I personally think my characters are funny, and so I just let them go. But I mean, humor is so subjective too. But like, one thing that like in the true love experiment that I feel like you guys are doing really well with that too, is that you're exploring like that concept of losing your joy and like what it takes to find that. And like, that's a really hard place to start a character at too. And like, but it's so funny at the same time. So like, how do you do that?
Well, I was going to actually say, just to bring it back to you for a second, that I think you also come from a place of authenticity where you want to feel represented, and you want to feel like you're writing from an authentic place. And so, but you're also a romance fan.
Yeah.
And so for you, those things aren't necessarily separate, right? They're totally intertwined. And so it just comes naturally, I think, for you to find that voice, and not everybody could do that. And I think it's really a gift you have,
And I will say, I'm also very lucky that I've found in my real life a partner that has like really supported me through that and like gives me that space to, work through heavy emotions and stuff. And so I feel very lucky that like I get to experience a love that's very like fulfilling in that way. And it helps inspire, characters that are going through a journey too, and stuff like that. But yeah. I want to get back to the
I know, but I think it's really cool because you had said something earlier about like readers talking to you about mental health and stuff. And you're not like one thing. And we can all have bad things happen to us, but we're still allowed to be like sad, but also laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people are multidimensional, and
Yeah.
like, yeah, we can like go through some heavy shit, and then like throw
But it
back.
doesn't define who we are.
No.
Yeah.
And then you have a margarita, and it's like really funny actually that like happened to you, and maybe not, but like if you think it's funny and that helps you get through it, like that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Virtual audience, how do you balance your writing career?
Okay, the virtual audience, which knows this already because they are the one asking it, but they have asked, how do you balance being a dentist and also being an author?
Well, we covered the crying part, right? Like, I mean, that's pretty much the extent. No, it is a lot of work, and I'm very tired a lot of the time, but like writing brings me so much happiness. And I know joy is kind of like the buzzword, I guess, of our talk, but it really does. It makes me so happy. And when I started writing seriously, I made a very conscious decision, probably for the first time in my life, to like prioritize joy and happiness and like that feeling of like doing something for myself that I love. And so I keep doing that. So I get up extra early and I write through my lunches, and I go home and I write. And like I said, I'm lucky I have a partner that gives me the space to do that too. But yeah, I think if you love something enough and it fulfills you enough, you can figure out ways to balance it.
I was going to say, I think a lot of writers who have other careers, they don't ever imagine that they can be an author, a published author. And so writing for a long time for many of us is a hobby. And we do it because we love it so much, and we're driven to tell these stories. We have these words in our head. We have to get them out somehow. And so you carve out space for that in whatever your career is, whatever your life looks like. And, sort of the other side of that is that if you do want to write, you have to find space for it. The only way to get a book done is to write it one word at a time. And so, yeah, I think just like making it a priority and finding space for it is good. But when you want to do it, you're just driven to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people think like being a writer means one thing, like you have to write 1,000 words a day or whatever. But if you were just like, I'm going to write, I have an hour and I'm going to get 500 words or whatever it is you write on your phone while you're like, commuting to work or whatever, all of those, the time's going to go by anyway. And all those words add up.
Yeah. It really is just one word at a time. And like, this is like genuine curiosity. Were you guys fanfic readers before you? So is that how you got into the writing of it? Or like, were you kind of like dabbling in writing and then you found this fanfic community?
So I started writing fan fiction when I was about 13.
Okay.
And I was writing Days of Our Lives.
She didn't know that's what she was writing.
I didn't know that's what I was writing. I wanted to read about Jack and Jennifer and Patch and Kayla, and I wanted to write their stories. And so I wrote them in notebooks that I put under my bed that my mom found when I left for college. It's good times for everybody. So, but I wasn't reading it because I didn't even know it was a thing, right? I didn't realize it existed. And then when I needed more Buffy, that's when I found online and like, a community. So I was writing because I was just like, I had these stories, but I think it was a little different for Christina.
Yeah. So I never wrote anything for fun in my entire life until I was 32 and I had a hysterectomy and I was recovering from surgery and I had just read Twilight. And so I was like scrolling the internet and I like stumbled upon twilighted.net. And I was like, what is
the worst reading experience?
I know, it's
black
like,
with white text.
That's the reason why I need glasses is from like staring at this site. And so I was like, what is this? People are taking these characters and they're just like writing for the joy of like writing. I can do that. You can do that. And so I started writing this like really ridiculous fic and didn't think anybody would read it or anything, but I didn't know anything. I used to get like where you put the quotation marks wrong. And this is why I would tell anybody who wants to be a writer to write fic, because people on the internet are not shy about telling you when you like mess up. So it teaches you. I couldn't do this job without it. So it taught me how to take constructive criticism or not constructive criticism, but also how to take praise and to like give them equal weight, you know? So I would tell anybody to, but yeah, I just like started writing and I was old.
As somebody who's like a self-proclaimed like feelings averse person, was it hard to tap into like emotions of characters, or did that feel kind of natural
I mean,
to do that through writing?
The first thing that I ever wrote was super ridiculous, like very ridiculous.
I thought that was the name of it. I was like,
no.
oh,
It's what like originally, it like eventually became Beautiful Bastard. So if you've read that, then you know that it's like very ridiculous. I mean, he like rips panties.
it's
and-
so good.
Puts him in his desk drawer.
Yeah.
I
And
keep that shit up. Like, I love that.
so like, you know, I like have had to learn, like Lo and I have had conversations about like, I like, I've not talked about this anywhere, but I'm taking a writing class now because I never like learned, nobody ever taught me how to write. I like learned how to writing, and there's so many things I like have to get better at.
I did not know you were going to say something about that. And I've been wanting to brag about you doing this for so long, because I feel like we are 30 books drafted into our career. And she is like, I want to take a writing class because I want to work on this particular thing. And it's like, she's doing just fine without it. So, but I love that she wants to do this. I'm so proud of you.
But so like, I don't have my camera on and I like, you know, I like participate in all this stuff, but I like, don't want to be like, oh, I already know how to write. But there's so much stuff I don't know. So much stuff that I realized I did know that I didn't know that I knew, but then a bunch of other stuff. But I just feel like there's certain things I need to learn. So you should always, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk more about that later. Actually, because I like really want to chat about that. But
All right. Do we have a couple more questions for Mazey? Let's maybe do 2 more questions. In the browns. Yes, that's you. Yep. The brown jacket.
oh, that's hard. Yeah, that's probably unfortunate. What?
Oh, how do we balance the reading routine with the writing routine? Because reading is such
yeah.
an important part of being a writer.
It is. It's probably like in my
I agree.
yeah, I think it's one of the most important things. And I think that's where you can find like the most inspiration. And I think you can learn to write through reading too. I had this AP English teacher, and she said, like, if you want to be a good writer, you just like handwrite passages from your favorite books, like, and do that over and over. Cause but anyway, so I did that all the time. But unfortunately, reading is like one of the first things to go when I have like so many things on my plate. And then again, it's about like, okay, you can't pour anything onto a blank page if like your well is depleted, right? And so if you get inspiration from reading, that's what you have to do. And I think it's also like playing with what you read. You don't have to sit and read an entire, full length novel. Like, it can be short stories, it can be poetry, like anything can be inspirational. And also don't judge yourself if like you can't read as many books as you wanted to, because I think that like as readers, there's like a huge point of pride in like how many books you can knock out. And then it's like, it's just not doable.
I've listened to more books than I read.
Yeah.
That still counts as reading.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's hard sometimes when you're drafting. It's like it's hard to read when you're writing your own story because you don't want to sort of be influenced by someone else's voice. But also, for me, if I'm feeling stuck or I'm feeling like I'm not in a good place, like mentally, it's really hard to read an amazing author because it just makes me feel worse sometimes.
Oh,
and
for
so
sure.
I think that that's another thing that's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do one more question. Okay, the arm that went up with the jean jacket right there, real fast.
Hey.
Okay. This person has asked what the editor's response was to the opening scene peanut butter.
Okay, I need to address this because I get a lot of questions about it. I fully expected that to be cut, like in edit.
Is there a name for this on Urban Dictionary?
No, I picked. Okay, so Indira walks in on her boyfriend cheating on her, right? And like, spoilers, I'm sorry, it happens really early, but he's covered in peanut butter. Like, the girl's covered in peanut. Like, there's a lot of peanut butter play, and this was during the rewrite, shocking, but I was like rewriting this book in just a couple of weeks, and I needed to keep moving with it. And so I was like, what can I have him like doing? Like, what kind of like absurd sort of kinky thing is he doing where I don't get like canceled on Twitter for kink shaming. And I was like, I think like peanut butter would be acceptable. And
Also,
so
you would smell the peanut butter and be like, "Who's peanut? I smell penis."
yeah, exactly. And somebody had even said, like, reading that, they're like, you should make it even more personal and give Indira a peanut allergy. And I was like, that's too cruel. Like,
Oh,
I know. Like, he couldn't explore that with her, which, like, maybe like, somebody should.
I love that though.
I know.
That's dark.
I know.
The book is done.
Yeah.
Well, no, somebody could write fanfic, like the peanut
Yeah.
allergy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Somebody volunteer.
I would read that. But yeah, so I had that in there, and then it became like just a joke with myself, or like just a couple times throughout it's referenced in just like what the fuck, like sort of vibe. Because I was confused too. I was like, this is weird. And then I sent the book off, and I got another round of edits I had to do, and that was not in there to take out. And like, we never really talked about it. Like, it was like, and I kind of like, I don't know, I almost normalized it in my head where I was like, this isn't like a weird thing. Like, this isn't a big deal. And then the book came out, and like, I realized like, oh, this struck a chord with like a lot of people, or struck a nerve probably more likely. But I kind of forgot that it was such a big
And it's on her couch that she paid for.
I know, on the couch that she paid for. He locks up her cat. Like, it's horrible. I mean, terrible. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do giveaways now.
Okay, so Mazey this is for this. Mazey mentioned the name of her debut YA book. Who can tell me what the title was?
Okay, right here in the white V-neck.
Yeah.
All right. And we're doing a copy for a virtual audience member.
So
right?
we're gonna. I think we should pre-order. A
Yeah, we'll
copy.
pre-order a
Okay,
copy.
okay.
So the question for this one is, what is Lizzie's job in Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake? Come on. What's her job?
Well, this is for somebody online.
Allison Blattman got it first.
All
But
right.
does it need to be specific what kind of baker?
That's up to you guys. These are
Okay. I think we'll give it to the first
Mhm.
one.
Okay,
I
okay,
think
okay.
it's fine.
Congratulations.
Can that person please message DM us on Instagram, maybe? Christina Lauren. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll get their email. Never mind. Okay. I want to say thank you so much to City Books for hosting this.
Yes.
I want to thank you
We love
guys for
them.
coming out. This was really like A+ effort on a rainy day. And I want to thank Miss Mazey Eddings for just being lovely and writing the greatest books. Thank you so much for letting us do this tonight.
thank you too. Like,
How many of you guys are going to a Polycon? I'm just curious.
I see a lot of wristbands. Nice.
Okay. We'll see you tomorrow.
thank you.
Okay, everybody, thank you for being here. We are going to transition to our signing line. If you are willing and able to set your chairs to the side, that will be helpful for us in just putting things up. Our signing line will begin in front of the science section. Thank you. Hey, hi, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
That was way too long. Sorry.
That's fine. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Fine.
okay.
I was keeping an eye on time.
Okay.
You guys are good.
Because it's like 8
Yes, but we started 10 minutes late, so we're working with it.
Okay.